We're going. We're going good.
Where's our sage?
We're gonna make it.
Can you see the sage?
No.
Come on. Technical difficulties.
And
No.
sage difficult.
We're having spiritual difficulties. What the hell?
That's a new title, Elizabeth. Now you have material for a new video.
Well, believe me, I have enough for about 20 videos. Endless.
Elizabeth,
Hello.
I got one good skin out of all those rabbits. The black rabbit. That turned out it turned out real nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Did we
You'll have to send me pictures.
take it with us to
Okay.
the school thing?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's in the car.
It's at the school,
Okay.
but I'll probably have that moose skin by Monday. Then I'll just fill it. You said to put like a 1/4 inch of salt, or just put salt on it.
Just as much as it needs, really, just to cover all the flesh.
Okay, and
Anyway,
then roll it up like a rug.
yeah.
How long would I leave it like that before I could start working on it?
Here, look. I got my bag of sage.
But you mean I gotta keep resalting it every time I roll it up? No,
Yeah.
really?
That's a lot of work, huh?
No, you're kidding, aren't you? You're not saying nothing.
She's not answering. She's just laughing.
What do you got stocks with the salt, people?
And then you eat it. It's fine. It'll last for a year.
No, but I'm saying, like you say, I open it up, work on it for a bit, then I gotta resalt it again.
Yeah, why, Karen? You're giving away all my work tips.
I'm sorry.
You pay for this knowledge.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry, even if I knew it, I couldn't do it by myself, so don't even worry about it.
That's for her patent number. Okay. How's the light? Do we have enough good light?
Yeah, it's all right.
No, it's not good on here.
Perfect, but,
I gotta get that. The light is burnt. Okay, I'm gonna bring the brighter lights to this side.
What do you need a light for? As long as I see this.
Oh, yeah, but look at this. It's dark there.
Oh.
A little bit more light.
the
on
I
this.
think
bright side
I
of
think
light.
they know what we look like now. Huh?
Hey, that's better. Huh? Maybe one more.
Yeah, sure.
Wait, we'll get one more of those. If I have another one. Oh, anyways, if you're on YouTube, we are just getting ready to do the Kanienkeha class now. We're going to be starting in a few seconds. We just got a couple of lighting issues. What's up? Is that better?
Yeah,
Looks better, huh?
yeah. Especially with your disco ball.
Okay, so
You want to help me?
who's doing the
You two guys did this morning.
opening?
Okay then. Well, Kachokwas, Wahunsiyus, Gaga Gunungwe, Danorunungwe, Skatne, Kanienkeha, Gayanara Saragoa. Translation. Edit Jujut, Sista Soko, Danaxota Yundajisque Panchita, Sapotecni Honsage, Mexican Wanerista, Natahuni Yakino Sadista, and Doharage Ganosesne, Radiangahaga Gahnawage, the Wusmi Hunsage, and the Waraga Gawanage, Teaching Orado Ganuma Heriagesu, Kisota, Santaneca Garaqua, Danayankinista, Yuhonsage, Danague, Goscatne Gunungwe, Teaching Orado Terranuago, the Nusawiskara, Tsini Kanya Teregeru, Aguego Ununquasua, the Nuaguea Quatsire. Nariñato ronatahuni dan rodiskare wage ayunki atagen hadanda waran hetsera ne awe katsanhayan ne awe kawatsire ne onowarage gawenoge Teinti nuorado jagunsese dan de ganawida dan awego diane dan rodiane ne yohahio ganigurio dan ogayandawana gayanara saragoa dan odegini de yohale ayunki atagen hadanda waran hetsera ne awe rodiskanaragete Dano gasastansara negununwe, dano kayandawana gasastansara rununwe, dano skana gasastansara, dano kariwa warishunsara, teinti nawarado honeste osahera, dano osra, dano nogatena yodaksa, eresawet, eresawet, eresawet. Taganina yotanisa wanikura.
Yeah. Okay, just for everybody's information, if this is the first time you're seeing this on YouTube or Facebook, we are doing the translation of the Guyana Rasara Goa back from the written language of English back into Kanienkeha. This is a process that began and is being finalized over a period of approximately 150 years. Anyways, soon as this is done, as soon as the translation is complete, then we get it down, everything in the written form, and then this will be released to everybody. Wayagero copy, the written copy for himself. We'll have the written copy here, and anybody will be able to get the written copy at any time. You'd be able to get it off of Wayagero, you'd be able to get it off of anyone. As for the videos, they haven't been so managed, not that well anyways. There's the videos of it from the time that we began, I think it was 4 years ago or something.
More than that.
The videos are basically kind of all over the internet. So when we're done, whenever we have the time, then we're going to try to we're going to conglomerate all those videos into one place, and then it'll be released from there. But anyways, they're all there for anybody to see at any time. It'll be just a matter of later putting them all together. The video isn't really the primary objective anyways. The primary objective is to have the translation, to have it written down. And what we are going to do also is we are going to write it down phonetically. There are already some of the Onagordas that we did a couple of years ago that were done phonetically. I don't know at what point we're going to be able to do that, but that will be done in the future also. So just so that everybody knows, there we go. So where are we at today?
Wampum 80.
Okay, what wampum? 80. And this is still under what?
Wage in peace, provisions for wage in peace.
Okay. So wampum 80. Skanawadi shall be vested with a double title, double duty.
Skanawadi Warihunda Tegana Neda.
With double authority.
Tegayana Rasara na Neda.
One half of his being shall hold the chieftainship title, peace chief.
Sadiyungwe Seria Ahatawa Royaner Asare Goa.
And the other half shall hold the title of war chief.
Danonoya Sadiyungwe Seria Ahaderihunda Asare Goa.
Okay, wait a minute. Right there we can see there's a problem. Asare Goa doesn't belong in the first line there.
Here?
Yeah, that's peace chief. Asare Goa is under
Royano peace chief. Rodiskana Ragete, ROD Skana Ragete.
H?
Ragete, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Right there, you know, that reveals something very important. We got to expand on this a little bit. That was not there for no reason. Now, for you to have it identified as though this gonna get there, you're talking about the men in general, right?
Yeah, Ruskana Ragete. That's the one person. Royana Ruskana Ragete, one man of the carrying of the peace, carrying of the peace.
So this, well, it obviously identifies the people of the five nations after the Great Law of Peace was established. So it's establishing, or it doesn't establish, it identifies all men within this body of
Upholders of peace.
of behavior. It identifies all men are to be within this specific behavior, and so they're all defenders of the peace. So then, to know that when we rise to, or when it comes around that we must go to war, then we're just gonna get there, right?
Yeah, but he's gonna get it.
Is it the exact same?
Yeah.
We're just gonna get there.
Yeah.
So then you can see, then it's not just the chieftainship title that has two half of their beings. It's all the people. This is the way that you avoid having a standing army.
Yeah, because you're all warriors and you're all peace carriers at the same time. But peace carriers before you will become a warrior. It's the last. I mean, once peace is exhausted, then everybody becomes a warrior. You know.
This tells you something also about. Well, we go deeper and deeper, but when you consider of what is in the domain then of Rodiscana Rogete, that would be Wazazi. That's what would be within the realm of Rodiscana Rogete. Wazazi would not be within the realm of Ganungwe, right?
Wazaze is
the war dance.
Oh, okay. No, it wouldn't be the women. No.
And you see then what happened in the past. You know that this took place here in Ganawagi. That the warrior society had a war dance, and they included women and children in that war dance. That took place back in the mid-90s, I think it was. Maybe 94, 93, 94. So what would happen then if you bring women and children into the role of Rodiscanaragete?
Then if you do that, to me, this is my opinion, to me, if you did that, then you're already out of law. You're not in law at all. You can't represent yourself.
But you would also not only law, then you would be basically messing with the genders.
Well, yeah, I think the roles would change.
There was something that you said here earlier. We won't quote it, but it was along those lines as you've seen that the women here in Ganawagi have changed.
Yeah.
There's a thing here that isn't noticed. That imagine if peace has 10 rules to it, and if you're breaking just one of those rules,
you broke them all.
You broke them all.
If to let the women and children participate is breaking the whole law. Everything that we worked up to now, 79, and you broke everything, and even the ones we didn't touch on.
Yeah. But then this also shows us something when you look into the larger world right now as to what's going on about these worldwide movements. Everybody's coming up and saying about what's happening to the environment. You have young children who are being corralled up to the front to have their voices being heard. But the young children, they don't know anyways what to say or what to do. But you're looking at then taking young children, putting them into the role of a warrior. That is a crime. That is a crime against creation.
What would they know about the world changing? They're 7 years old or even 15.
Yeah.
The world in order for you to see the world change, you'd have to be anything over like 30, 35.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to, it's like saying you have to be 18 and over to drink or something. It's
The
never
mo-
good ever to drink, but you know what I mean?
As a little side note there, the Mayans identified at 50 years old. You got to be 50. 52?
4 times 13.
This can not even answer less.
Yeah, it's the mathematics of the calendars. It's all based on 13. The 13 shells, that's the basis for everything. So every, like, let's say our own being would have like 13, like every 13 years, you would be like getting rid of one skin, like a serpent, transforming yourself. So the minimum, I've like always like in the medicine, well, like, I mean, the 4 energies, the 4 cycles. So once you have completed 4 times 13, 52, you are coming to the maturity age of like what would be an elder, you know, in the normal times, because nowadays it's hard to get that.
Okay, what I'm connecting here in this wampum, I think we're going to find a key to the time of the 7 dancers. Because this is exactly, precisely what is happening right now in the world. The non-native world is going through the time of the 7 dancers. The children are separating themselves from the elders. The elders are forcing their children to deal with circumstances that they didn't deal with. So the roles are changing. Children are taking the roles of adults. Adults are taking the roles of children. And when you look at the way that adults work or don't work in this world, you look at any parliament in this world, any governmental building, and you look at you're looking at a bunch of children who basically there's no common sense, there's no law, there's no constitution. So, anyways, this one from we'll keep our eyes open in here for any references or what we can find that's connecting to the 7 dancers, because somebody recently asked about this, that they want to go more in-depth explanation about the 7 dancers. Take for instance, I don't know if any of you have seen this, but there's a video floating around on social media. Indiana Jones, what's his name? Harrison Ford. He's making some kind of address. He's in a suit. It looks like he's in Congress or something. And he's addressing about the children, the young ones, and he's saying that the young ones are basically, I forget his exact words, but basically they're smarter than us. And at the end, he says, the best that we can do is get the hell out of their way. The children, the young ones are rising up. They want to make change. And he says, let us get the hell out of the way. Now, let's imagine this as we're at war. And here, all the men are standing on the front line. And then behind them, well, what's behind the men? Well, then the women are going to be there. And then what's going to be behind the women? The children. The children will be the last thing. Now, what's going on in just this statement, let's get the hell out of their way. Let's apply it to that scenario. Here's all the men on the front line of that war. And they're saying, well, the children can handle this. Let's get the hell out of their way. They're putting, the non-native world is putting their children in front of them to fight a monster that they never had, part of my language, but they never had the balls to fight themselves. They would rather fight everything else than fight the one true thing that is destroying themselves. They would rather not deal internally with correction. They would rather even kill something else to divert the attention onto another problem so that they don't have to deal with the problem.
It's like sacrificing children again, though. It's like putting them on a stone and driving a knife through them, hoping that its nature will forgive you. See how they've gone back to how when they got here. We didn't sacrifice children. That's why we took in children of every color, skin color. And today, now, the people are saying, oh, you have to be this, you have to be all native. It's too late in the game. We passed center. You don't go back. You don't go back to center and say it starts here and it's too late. Just keep moving now. So the people at the time, all with the arrival of the non-natives, from then back, we can never go back there now. We're there. Got to keep move on. They kept accepting other people's, and now we're going to stop in 1985, or it's like they say in band council, 1985, we start over.
Yeah.
So for 300 years, everybody that was there, I mean, they were accepted already by our great-great-grandparents we never seen, and grandmothers.
Mhm.
So it was their law that we're following now.
Well, this is where, in the lines of what you're identifying right there, is that, yeah, we got no choice. We have to accept they are here now, but what we don't have to accept is corruption. This is where we identified, or let's say we discovered the truth, is that the two-row wampum was presented to the wrong people. It was presented to men. But like we identified, soon as it was presented into the hands of the women, immediate action, immediate change started to happen. Improvement started to happen where, like, say your average person who's not aware, of course, they're not going to see these things. But let's just say, like, with Elizabeth, what we seen, just with Elizabeth. Now, that's just one woman. You put the two-row wampum into the hands of one woman, and look what happens just from what she is empowered with through it. Now, imagine putting that into the hands of, or every woman waking up to the power that she has. Change then, the fact is, yes, they are here, but the fact is that they are here corrupted. Now, if they are here under the power and authority of their women, then they will be here not corrupted, because then they will have to fix corruptions. So we're in the big picture, we could say that we're in a very crucial time of change. Of course, we could say that about anything, but when we're looking at how the two-row wampum is now being applied, like I know you didn't see this, what we were talking about earlier about the Vienne Commission. It was here on October 2nd in the Quebec National Assembly. And it was all the mayors of the different reserves. The mayor of Ganassadage was there, Serge Simon, and whoever from Wendake and Ordenac, and all the different reserves around so-called Quebec. They're all standing on the second floor of National Assembly holding hands. They're basically singing Kumbaya. And what that process was of them being enfranchised, becoming a part of the tax regime, the political system of so-called Quebec. So when we see this happening with the Native people, that that the Native people are not abiding by our law. So we can say the non-natives are here, we have to accept it. But then if they're here and the natives are not abiding by our law, then we are completely corrupt. But when the two-row wampum was put into the hands of the women, you look at what Mary Claude was compelled to go to the National Assembly on the 2nd. And a non-native woman in the National Assembly is defending and promoting the two-row wampum, defending the proper relationship with Native people. So yeah, we have to accept that they're here, but we don't have to accept the corruption. We still have to correct the corruption, and the only way to do it is through the women. We know that the non-native men will never correct their corruptions, but the women, once they have that power or discover they have that power, they go to work on it right away. So we got a very big possibility, or we're at a very big possibility of a turning point.
A juncture.
Yeah. It's just a matter of aligning people with common sense.
If all the women change, or a percentage of the women change in all of the world, and why they don't, I don't know, unless they like bondage, I mean, I wouldn't.
Mm.
You know, I'm a man, and I wouldn't want to be tied up in some sort. I mean, tied up. It's not like physically tied, but that's the worst. That's the tie you can't get out of.
It was like us a while ago. We were having spiritual problems.
Yeah.
They have spiritual problems, and that comes down to basically the women of the world. Spiritual problems comes down to thinking problems, because if in all your what you view as the capacity of your thinking or the parameters, if that's the parameter and you can't resolve it within there, then that's your spirit trying to find solution, but it can't. Then that comes down to the person ends up having thinking problems. They end up having mental issues, because it's basically that the spirit is then left into a circumstances where it just can't be. It becomes a paradox.
The women, they're under one law, which is the strongest law going, is their hormone with their grandmother. So that's why the women are strong. And then when you've seen how other governments made laws and say, well, only certain women, that's almost like saying only certain men can hold power. But the women, they can get together when they can make a peace between them, because they got this strong bondage. They are all women, because they're all made the same way, and they have the same moons as every other woman on the planet. They give life like every other woman on the planet. Mm-hmm. Like you always say, some women who have taken on men's ways think like men now. So some women do look like women, but don't have the capacity of dealing like a natural woman, because they're willing to follow the laws of man. If we followed the laws of women, we'd probably be better off. I know
Of
we'd
course.
be better off.
The great law of peace is the only way. The great law of peace is not a male manifestation. This is something that came about as a result of male corruption that the women had to respond to. And when the women responded, when Jagunsaze stood on the warpath, it was her resolve that called upon the peacemaker. It was her entire life. Her life itself was the ceremony that called upon the peacemaker, that called upon the correction to the circumstances. So you may think that, anybody may think that, okay, if you're in a terrible circumstance, how are you going to change it? Just quite simply by wanting it, by wishing it to happen. Guys, we can't make it happen, but women can make it happen, because within the women, as they are the source of creation, the source of life, this is where the dream begins within the women. If you think of, like, let's say that dreams are produced in a factory, then the dream of, for instance, the dream of the great peace, this does not come out of the male factory. It comes out of the female factory. So it was produced through, quite simply, her spirit standing strong to her resolve, willing it to come into being. But there is not just solely left upon the energy of will, because imagine when somebody is standing there against something corrupt, they got the will to stand there. But the fact is that the opposite side is there also. And the opposite side has to substantiate itself being there against this other thing. So in that circumstance of the women, through their resolve to wish to bring peace come about, the women of this world are not taking the full action as to what Jagunsaze did. She didn't just sit there and wish. She went on the warpath. She stood on the warpath. She physically stood in the way of war. Women in this world are not doing it. Women in the free world are allowing women in these occupied countries to stand there and get blown to bits, get blown to pieces, get their children blown to pieces. And those women are standing there and having their love torn from them. They're being stripped of love. So they're being stripped of their power. And this means that women around the world are part of that process of stripping their own sisters of their power. Mm-hmm. So the women, through their wish, through their resolve for peace, in standing on the warpath, they will find themselves right in front of war. This is the only time that the women's dream factory will be able to produce that dream of peace. Because if it does not stand in front of war, then whatever it's producing, it doesn't matter. Because if it's producing peace, peace is over there. It doesn't exist there. Peace will only exist where it's confronting war. It has to get rid of war. Because the concept or the perception of peace is not what's over there. Look what everybody thinks in this world. The perception of peace is so-called Canada, United States, first world countries, but they're the ones causing the wars. So the perception is not true. So this is where only within the wampums of the Guyana Rasaragoa will the women find the key to their own empowerment. This is where I don't know about, let's say, Elizabeth.
I have a question from a comment from her, by the way.
Okay.
She says, it's about stepping away from society and the conditioning women have been oppressed for hundreds of years. Your spirit leads you, and the minute you step out, you discover the role for which you were born.
Mm-hmm.
And Janet says also, there's a lot of brainwashing and illusion due to military and political domination.
Okay, anyways, we better, I guess we'll get back to that. Huh? It's a good discussion.
Yeah.
Very good discussion.
But like even like it with women's moons. Look, as men, we're guilty of not have gone. We should be going through a woman's moon with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
or hugging them, holding them. I mean, they're suffering because of you.
Yeah.
And look, I'm guilty of it myself. At one time, I was, I would just say, "Wow, I'm going to go sit and have a few beers when you feel better," and not realizing though I was way out of order.
Mm-hmm.
Or today, I guess I'm older, and when I realize how women go through a lot. So, when a woman has her moon, and it's your woman, is to stay with her, cuddle her, let her get angry with you. Take it. You got it coming.
Well, what could you do when you were younger? Because this is what is taught to us in the world. The fact is that all guys in this world are taught of the woman's moons. We're not taught of it as a moon. We're taught of it as a period.
Yeah.
And a period, it's not a period like in a sentence where it's the end of something. It's a period. It's a piece of time, a section of time that is identified. Like if you say, "Oh, I went through a period," it's like a negative thing.
Mm-hmm.
So all the men in this world, young boys, are taught of it as being a negative without realizing that the blood,
we're a byproduct of this.
This is where we come from.
Of this happening. Yeah, but you have to wait till you get this old to realize.
Well,
we should
maybe
be teaching our sons that very young.
Mm-hmm.
maybe we don't have to be this old to realize, because Edith can verify this, and there's other women who've sat in this house can verify that. Myself, I have said outright to the young girls, when there was young girls in here, I've said it to women, that if and when you are with a guy that does not spend your moon with you, you are with the wrong guy. This is what we teach in the ceremonies, that the man must be with you in your moon, even if you're not in love, even if you are not husband and wife. Let's say you're just hanging around with each other. Maybe you're just getting on that level of starting to have something going between you. No matter what, that male must spend time with that, must spend the moon with that life giver. And also, even if you are not in a personal relationship, the men, if you have friends, like Edith is our friend. When Elizabeth was here, she was our friend. Everybody that's here, other women are our friends. When they're here, are they not talking about their moons?
Mm-hmm.
Are we not spending our time with them when you're on your moons?
Mm-hmm.
These are things that every guy must do, because this is how you are adjusted out of our stupidness and into common sense and love. The fact is that maybe men don't know how to approach love. I'll say that things are not the way that we've been taught in this world. We are taught, men are taught, that women are emotional. I'll say nope. I'll say that it's us men that are emotional.
That's when we run away.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I remember my mother would just all of a sudden say, "I'm going to Huxon, I don't feel well. Come and lay under the blanket with me."
Mm.
And I didn't know, and I went and I maybe she was her moon, but she would never tell you that because they didn't talk about stuff like that. But it wasn't all the time. Then be different. She had a lot of kids, so it'd be a different time with somebody else. So I don't know. Me, I'm just thinking. No, maybe she was trying to teach me something. But they were with religion. They were afraid to talk about that because you were talking about sex.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if we would have known.
Feeling. Sex is a feeling. We are a feeling. Eh? When we stop feeling, then sex is just an act.
Mm-hmm.
But when you feel it, it's deeply rooted. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
So I think of all the things. I guess where I went off the path, I'm back on the path, and maybe working on the Garnet go and bringing women up to an equal share with men. Maybe I'm learning. I mean, I'm making up for all my mistakes I made, and I'm not going to make them again because it's a long ride.
Well, may I say, it's not us bringing the women up to equal. It's us climbing up that ladder to try to become equal with them. Try to get all of that stuff pulled out of our minds that has been the corruptions. And the women, you as being the victim of this male corruption, you may think it's easy to say, well, all you got to do is stop. It's not that easy. You don't, as women, you may not realize completely what has been done to the men in this world. Just think of this. If you don't have a son, it's hard for you to imagine this, but think from the perspective of your son. Now, Elizabeth, you're there. You can think of this very easily because you have a young son, and think about the things that he's confronted with, like what we knew, what was posted just last moon, within this last moon, but also what he's confronted with in his day-to-day. Our children are poor. They're so poor what we're exposing them to. Especially imagine the women who have sons. You love your son, little baby, and then they're exposed to craziness for the rest of their life. Maybe only for a couple of months you have them within your heart to be able to love them and teach them properly.
Never having feelings. You know, today I was writing an email a while ago before I got here, and I'll admit I started to cry because I found not a weak point. I was really sensitive to something, and I wrote about it. I says I felt like it was something I had to write and say. You know, I cried, and it wasn't long, but I felt better. Like like a lot of times you see a woman crying, and I remember somebody saying, "Oh, shut up, get over it."
Mm-hmm.
I say, let them go, let them cry. Like my son now, he'll start to cry. He'll try to hold himself, and I'll tell him in Mohawk, "This is something. Cry, go ahead, get it out." Where before, my father would say, "Shut up and don't cry. Men don't cry." He says, "Yeah, that's why we are the way we are today."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not all men, because there's a lot of good men out there, but we just don't ever see them.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth is saying another comment. She says, it's the most powerful example of love to spend their time with a life giver going through her moon. It's so sad it just doesn't happen. It's wonderful to share this knowledge.
Well, I'll tell you, and the men have this perception of that. Stay away from it. Yeah, it's bad. And that's why it is bad, because they're not there. And then as the women are going through this, knowing that they're supposed to walk like this, your left foot is supposed to walk with your right foot. You don't leave one foot behind just because one of them is ill or something, or whatever the one perceives it as being not up to whatever today, So the women know inside, it's intrinsic in the fiber of their being that when you're on your moon, they're supposed to be the male there. Whether it's the first time when you're a young kid, maybe you're some it starts as young as 9, 9, 12, 13, 14. When you're young and you have your first moon, your father is there. Your father is spending the time with you. Even the father is saying, oh, well, it's like this, okay, don't worry, kind of type of thing. So how is it then when once the woman gets a little bit older, she's exposed then to guys that don't even want to be around her, and then her husband don't even want to be around her at that time? The woman is walking, carrying all of the load of creation on her back while man is just destroying it. We're not having that equilibrium. So yes, every man, every guy is supposed to spend that time of the moon with their mother, with their aunts, with their girlfriend, with their sister, with their friend. Maybe, like, let's say, for instance, you might say, well, with a friend. Well, you're not going to be with them all the time. But you know what? It's at this time, go, even if it's as little as going to the movies together. If it's going to get her mind off of maybe sometimes the physical pain. Maybe you go out and you get some entertainment or whatever. This is what men are supposed to be doing. This is what Guyana Rasada Goa teaches us.
Elizabeth is saying it's because a life giver in this position is in her most raw, vulnerable state when she's open to accepting the protection and nurture of another being. Just my opinion.
Okay, but it's not accepting the protection, because the reality is, let's go right to the true circumstances here of that it's really a mother that is protecting. This is the reality of the world. You can see what has happened. The men can't protect you. The men can't protect anything. What you're looking at in the non-native world is what you call, or what you think of protection, is that it's not protection. They're the one waging war on your behalf. That's not protecting you. When the one that is to protect, it's the mother that protects the children. So this is the true circumstances. And when we get our minds straight, really in our roles, then this is when peace, equilibrium will be attained. The left foot will walk with the right foot.
It's exactly what you were pointing out about when the male in war are going to bring the women and the children before them. That's exactly what's happening when the men are not there with the life givers in their moon. That's exactly that.
But then again, it was this week they were showing they're having an all-female space walk. And where they're going to want them to walk on the moon. So no, that's women waging war on women.
No, that's how crazy it is.
I mean, it's, but they won't step back from it on your hands, not just on the planet Earth, but also with Grandma Moon. That's your connection.
Yeah.
So,
which is our connection too. So, but your first line. It's your first line.
Yeah, well, this is resulting from tiny things on the ground, result from huge actions, of course, and huge actions result from tiny things. But the huge action that is occurred that most everybody is not aware of is that there's laws that have been passed in so-called first world countries like so-called Canada, the United States, where you have now mandatory military service. And this means for young women, not just young men. And it's going now to the age of 16. It starts as young as that now, where they're identifying it not as military service, but civil, I think something civil, like civil service, something like this. It's like what they do in Israel. They take young kids, 16 years old, and they put them into that. They call it civil service or civil defense. It's basically putting an automatic weapon in their hand to go out and kill all their women's children. So this is where the big thing that is altering every woman on the planet right now, as to, even if they're not aware of it, as to how the women are reacting, or the level of freedoms that you don't have. You know, it's like more and more perimeters are being placed around the women. If the cage that you were placed in first was like a 10 by 10 jail cell, well, your jail cell is getting down to like you're almost stuck within the square millimeter, almost down to nothing.
And just a funny comment is Kate Matan, who is saying that normally the women that are in their moon, they are all gonna have attitude. So it's like the young girls have an attitude, and she reminds herself when her sister had her moon. You know, it's just how it is now.
That is true. This is what I learned, and of course you could say I'm a liar, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when I was with somebody and they're on their moon, yes, maybe she had attitude or whatever, but if you the proper thing, what I experienced is that I looked into the person who was on their moon, and they were a little too sensitive about this or that. Then I tried to maybe be a little bit softer in that area. And what I found is that this is what I literally seen. It was kind of like this, and then like acting back to them like, ooh, and then it went to, oh, and then it went down, oh, and it calmed out. There was an equilibrium between us that happened. And when that happened, for me, what I do in a relationship with a woman is, then when I got that equilibrium, I can then look at things, because she's then filtering through her at her most important time all of the things that are being emitted from our Mother Earth through the Earth's magnetic field, through her powers, through her energies. That's at that time it gave me a better insight.
Elizabeth is saying it's not attitude; it's called a few.
Well, we it used to be called, for us, we used to refer to it as a woman's period, woman's moon, and it's even her power. You're being visited by your power. Anyways, this is something that when we are talking about great law of peace right here, just in translation, then as you know, that when it's being recited as it's supposed to every 5 years, in those 5 year periods, it's almost like if you, I won't say period, I'll say within that 5 year time, like the continents, how the water goes back and forth between them. The tide, it's low, it's high, it's got that fluctuation. Now, anyway, so within that 5 year time, you see that, well, right at the end of the law recital, in the first few moons, maybe right up to the first year, everybody will be acting at their best. They'll be conducting themselves their best towards each other. And then it'll slow down maybe the second year. And then maybe the third year, people might get a little agitated and bark at each other. But then as we're coming up, hey, remember what you learned in the law recital. And then as we get closer to the law recital, people knowing that the law recital is coming, that they will start picking back their roles. Their roles. They'll become more reasonable again. People are like this. This is a fact. People can go off like a firecracker. It's the circumstances that the society creates for ourselves to contain any firecrackers going off, to where we level off the load of any burden that anybody has across the whole society. That it is not just you that is going through, like, say, a mourning. It's everybody. It's not just you that is dealing with whatever else. It's everybody.
Two more stuff. Janet says the men don't know or understand what their role is, so now the women follow suit with the men, and the men don't realize how displaced they actually are from the original instructions. So respect for women only comes if women act or follow male dominance. That's a comment, and then
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Then right there, that's Janet.
yeah.
Then right there, Janet, you are showing what the solution is. You tell us the solution. The solution is the women have to stop following male dominance. No, it's easy to say. Well, then you got to be able to identify what is male dominance. So this is where really then the purpose for the women's nation comes into sight, where the women can actually address things and say, this is something that we have nothing to do with. And then you have a body of women who are all like-minded within law, protecting themselves and then protecting the people that are there with them. And whether the women know this or not, because of the way that the corrupt male has changed things, it is you who are the protectors, really, because it's the mother who protects. We go to that most crucial point in life at when you're a baby, when you're a child. Let's use the example of grizzly bear. We know that male grizzly bears, they'll eat grizzly bear cubs. But who protects them? The mother. This is really truly the role of the mother in this world, of the women. And the women can say, well, you've got enough burden, whatever. But the fact is, if we identify the truth, this is a woman's world. This is her world. You brought us into this world. The truth is that it's you that has to protect it. It's you that's got to teach us how to walk in this world proper. And this is what Guyana Rasara Go is here for. This is why every woman on this planet has no clue as to how much in debt you are to one woman in all of history of the world. Everybody in the world is indebted to one woman who stood on the warpath and here in Turtle Island changed war to peace. It came from one woman. And so she was not a woman born of, like, to say, like the way that religions identify, oh, this savior or that savior, like as if there was some kind of deity from outer space or something. No, it is your average woman born of this world. You are the power. You have the power to fix, to heal the world, but you also have the power to allow the world to be destroyed.
And this is a question that has been coming from another session, but
Get some
John and France are asking what happens with a woman that doesn't have her moons anymore. Like, what will be her role at that stage of her life, or how they continue having their moons if they don't have them physically.
This is where I'll connect it to the Mayan knowledge, where the Mayan knowledge say that for a man you reach, what is it, 52, you said? Mm-hmm. Apparently for us, 52 means we're wise. It doesn't mean we're wise, but this is where you become eligible, or you should be by this time. But for the women, it's
the word in Kanienkeha is wazanigun. You come to your senses.
Zaganigur?
Wazanigun.
You should write that at the end.
Yeah, that's because my mother would always, because my mother was my greatest teacher. And she would not say to me, but she was talking about somebody in the community who finally, she says, he finally came to his senses.
Oh, I spelled it completely wrong. Can you spell it, please?
Okay. No, it's Wazani.
Oh, yeah?
Wazan, W-E, Wazani.
He said,
okay, look, Waho Nigun wrote that. Waho Nigun wrote that.
With H?
Yeah, Nigun wrote that. Come to his senses.
Now, who's saying that? A female or a male?
My mother's saying it about a male.
Can a male say that?
Yeah, I could say that to somebody too, like some guy that's maybe one of your sons, maybe you're your old man now, and one of your sons is Finally come to his senses.
Edith, that's not come to your senses. That's he came to his senses,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, he came to his senses.
So that's like past tense, or it's something he did.
Came to his senses.
so how do you say to somebody, hey, come to your senses?
Sa nigun.
S?
You say Gatke, K-A-T-K-E. On sa nigun wrote that. On sa
A?
E-N, S-A, N-I, K-O-N, R-O-N, T-E. When will you come to your senses? Which is like, sometimes you'll hear people, they'll say, well, teach me the swear words in Mohawk, and there's none. But that would be like a swear word. When are you going to come to your senses?
You stupid ass.
That's what it is. And if a woman says that to you and you love her, well, you're going to listen.
But I guess that would definitely not be something a man would say to a woman then.
No.
That would be,
That much guaranteed.
I would say not under any circumstances
No.
would a man say that to a woman.
I don't
So-
think we have a place to say that. We don't.
You know what? Put in a bracket underneath the English. Put man cannot say this to woman.
A man or men?
Men.
It's like saying, I know how you feel. You don't. It's just, I feel for you.
When will you come to your senses? As soon as you say that, you know what the answer is. Never. That's
Some people
that's
never do. They die that way.
that's an automatic door that the person puts up. If a guy says that to a woman, he's putting a door up that she's not going to be able to get through.
It's got more to deal with than whatever they're dealing with.
It really truly comes down to, like we say, that the great law of peace is the proper way of thinking. And we know that it wasn't the women that needed the great law of peace. It was the men that were on the warpath. So it truly, really, really, truly is how for us to think proper.
Well, for years, like 30 years, I guess, when I picked up the great law. And on these Christian holidays, like Christmas time, I would make a mask, but you just can't be working on the mask all day. So it's like 10 days you're not working, you're not at school. Then I would read the great law from page to page, and you can read a lot. And every time you read it, you learn something different.
Mm-hmm.
So, all those holidays I would read. And I don't know how many times I read it, never knowing that today I would be working on it. But because somebody else from a different direction wanted to work on this, and I was already on that road, so why not put it in print? I never thought we'd be writing it. And now we're almost done.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we meet from a whole different, what's the word I'm looking for? Africa, America. No.
Different
A
continents.
different continent we meet, and we get to say, well, we finally met. We're like kindred spirits, but now you're meeting like in the flesh and thinking.
Well, what you just said truly is an individual experience, because what we're dealing with in Guyana da Saragoa, it's in the proper thinking. Now, when you're thinking, there is thoughts that can only originate from certain parts of your brain, because those parts of your brain are created to deal with specific things. As we all know, certain part of your brain will deal with nerve endings, other part will deal with whatever else. Anyways, we know there's different parts of the brains. This is in our own world, in our inner world. This is bringing our continents into balance with each other. It's where we would be, like with Elizabeth, where she is picking up the two-row wampum. Even though we are fledgling at this, our continents are communicating. And big deal. It's only right now a couple of us that are having this interaction. But in the long run, in the body of our Mother Earth, in the world of our Mother Earth, when those continents communicate, it will be the brain communicating proper. So it really truly is an individual experience, of course. Our journey to peace is an individual experience, but when we get there, we'll find that our individual experience is part of a collective.
Yeah, it's a collective.
We'll find our true identity.
Francis saying, what was the answer then for the elder women moons?
Okay. Well, what this is then, it's just like anything else. As you're growing in the world, let's say like you go to school. You go to grade 1 to grade 10. When you're done, you don't stay in school. You graduate from grade 10. You don't stay hanging around there. It's time for you to move on now. And the fact is that when a woman no longer has her moon, that she is in a different way. She's different. So within the collective of women, then, in the way that you're supposed to be living, you're all together, then that person then takes on a greater role of, whether she's a grandmother or not, she takes on a role of grandmother. And a role of grandmother within the longhouse is very different from what you know grandmother to be. It is more powerful. It is of more, a single grandmother has more ability to affect change within the collective than a young woman does. So it's a matter of, at that time, when she's done her moons, by that time, she should, like us, we should also have a lot of knowledge under our belt by then. And the fact is that no matter what, like your skin dies on your body, it's there for a little while to experience the life, but it will die. And so every woman will die also. Every man will die. This tells us that our cycles will be at its peak, and then our cycles will be at its point where it's not there any longer, won't be able to do it.
I guess a woman who's no longer has her moon would be the one to answer that too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it immediately made me think of Kukum Francine, that she's always teaching the younger life givers, and she says, well, that's the time that you are going to be helping those younger girls to understand their moons and to go through all of what they have to go through, because you already been there. So it's like the experience that you gain from youth, now you are passing it on. That's what she always says.
Well, it was like with the honor too. You took a step back when you were unable to see the woman, blah blah blah. The 5 things or whatever it was. That once you touch on one, you gotta be removed, not to be kicked out. You just sit behind, and the new person Oyana sits, and you're like a consultant. You sit behind them, so when a question comes up they don't know, they'll just turn, and then you'll have the answer. So you're not done. You're not finished. You're not, like, what do they say in English? They say they put you out to
retire.
Yeah, you never retire.
That's like having a brain that you got all information in it growing up, and then all of a sudden you retire that information. Who would retire any information? Like you say, okay, you've had the knowledge in your brain all your life of 1 and 1 makes 2. Okay, let's retire that information now. How would that affect the rest of our thinking? How does it affect the rest of our thinking collectively and what we do when we retire our elders, when we push them out to pasture and their wisdom and their knowledge is no longer there? It basically is, you can say, it is a cause to Alzheimer's and things of that nature, because collectively the society is identifying that elders are no good. They're of no use. We could throw them away.
Well, that's one quick way to get rid of a culture too.
Yeah, no memory.
Yeah, no more memory.
Connection, like what you were saying.
Yeah.
And John says sometimes we connect on the higher self, and on that too, Elizabeth says it's the same with the whole animal kingdom. But because we have lost our connection with nature, we have lost our way as human beings. because we don't live among the animals anymore.
See, that's making me think too. I spoke to my father last night, and he's kind of got my attention, worrying me because he's going to go horseback riding, and he's 90, eh? But then I say, and he's talking about Waiguru too, eh? And he must have thought that we were close to some kind of Mohawk class, or that I'd be in touch with Waiguru. But I says, you know what? There'll probably be a class soon, so I'll say hi, eh? But saying to myself, wow, I mean, man, I'm like I'm not even 70, and I don't go horseback riding. But what you're just saying, or what we're all saying here, is if you don't put yourself out to pasture, if you can go horseback riding when you're 102, you're going to be connected to that animal, right? And I appreciate what he's doing. And I think anybody that stays connected to the animals, to nature, you'll never be out to pasture, you know.
Well, that falls in under retirement. You retire, and everybody's concerned about you. Oh, don't do this, don't do that, don't go horseback riding. But when you consider in your life, when you're young, you know, you don't have to exercise so much. The fact is, I'm finding this out. Sure, we're all finding this out. You got to exercise more when you get older.
Yeah.
You can't retire. There is our elders. Now think of, in your brain, all the neurons that are in there. Think of them as people. Now, you got a neuron that has, let's say, 70 years under its belt. It's got a lot of knowledge. Do you want to retire that? Throw it out of your brain? It'd be crazy. It's a crazy. This is male dominance of what we are dealing with and battling with, and really, this is how we battle male dominance. We battle it by bringing the law back up, making it to become cognizant once again to the people of this world.
It says grandmothers, Delfina. She says grandmothers are the wisdom knowledge keepers. And then Fran says, I know the idea of helping the younger woman is sick, ugly, and poor. In our society, we are calling elder babies when they are not fast enough, equipped, or influenced by the richest values.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it is. He was feeling useful. He was doing whatever it was, as much as he could from the position that he was in, being bedridden, that he was doing as much as he could from there. Now, this is where it comes down to the younger generation that happens to be alive at the time, and how they then provide the conditions for their elders. So you can say, well, what you just said, Franz, it leaves out of the equation the fact that you have to teach the young ones in order for you to be still useful when you reach that time or that age. It depends on you what you did when you were younger. Now, if you didn't know when you were younger, then you create the circumstances for you when you are older. And then when you're older, if you find that this was wrong, it was bad, well, you can just just wrap it up as knowledge gained, or else you can use it to change it, to make sure that nobody else in the future falls victim to the same corruption. And then the only way to do that then is to start asserting it. Start exercising your power. You know what? Watch a woman. Let's imagine an old lady leaving her house in the morning, walking down the street, going to the market, and coming back with all groceries in her the street across the crosswalk. What will that do to the younger people? Well, a younger person might go and ask, you need help? Or they might just stay sitting in their car with their radio turned up full blast, and they'll just watch that old lady walk across the street. And where it's going to affect them is when they themselves are that old lady walking across the street, and they see themselves in what they didn't do. They see the ugliness of themselves, and that what makes that old lady that ugly person, because that's what she was when she was young. Now, this is because of being within male dominance. It's the the corruption that has been inflicted upon all the women. Young girls, no matter what today, they'd rather be in that mini skirt. They'd rather be in those high heels. They'd rather be riding in that Escalade, and for at all costs, that's what they'd rather do. And that people, those girls that live that life, that when they get older, they are full of regret. What are you going to do about that? Because it doesn't matter if it's not you. If there is regret in this world, if there's regret around us, we are going to feel it.
Well, I once a week I go to the elders' lodge and I meet an older lady. She's waiting in the door. And I told her I can't come every day, so I'll come see you once a week. And she says, I says, who talks to you in Kanienkeha? She said, nobody, just you. She says, that's why I wait here. She wanted me to share her toast. And I said, no, I just ate. But I said, eat. I'll keep talking. We're talking there for about 25 minutes. And I was looking at her and I said, Kurt, it's so sad, He says, it's true, there's all who in there, but nobody speaks. And when she talks to the help, which is not their fault, they run away because they can't answer her. They're ashamed now. But you're going to be that old person one day,
You know what you should do? Next time you see her at the elders' lodge, I'm sure they have internet. I'm sure they got social media. You should tell her about the Mohawk.
There's some tomatoes, and I got to bring her a squash. It's ready now, so I'll bring it this week.
Imagine how good that would make her feel. Like, I know she probably won't be able to come here, but I mean, be able to watch it.
I said, we'll make soup. I said, just save me one bowl. I said, tell me when you got it. And I said, save the seeds. Okay, she says, don't worry. And to look, I remember this woman when I was about 8 years old. I used to walk down the road and she was a young lady and she had kids though. And now to see her as an old woman, she talked to me when she was a young lady. Now I feel I got to go to her,
Mm-hmm.
And when she told me nobody comes to talk to her, and I didn't think that was right, I mean, I don't have a mother or father. I talked to my mother right until the day she died.
Well, you know that right from the get-go, the fact that she's in the elders' lodge means there's nobody to take care of her. Their family is not taking care of her properly.
Yeah, but everybody's saying today we live a fast life. No, you want to put somebody away. You don't put away an old person, any old person, but especially if everybody's trying to get their language back. She'd probably live an extra 20 years if she knew you'd have people coming in to teach.
Feeling useful for what they are doing.
Well, anyways, you know what?
We better get back to the law.
We didn't even get 2 lines, 2 sentences, and all of that came up. In the event of war,
No, you didn't. It's on the other half shall be the Asaregoa. Second line, I'm going to go down here.
And the other,
We didn't
yeah,
read
we
that
already
one.
said that.
No.
And the other title shall hold the title of
No,
war chief.
because we stopped at
Oh, yeah, we did.
Radiskanaragate.
Okay, and the other half shall hold the title of war chief.
No, sadim gwehweseriho. Mahaderiho Asaregoa.
In the event of war, he shall call upon the other war chiefs of the Confederacy.
Da derio serago wadam yasago nuge runujage Asaregoatsu tegajokwanara.
And order them to prepare for war.
Dano ahwadi rori ahmdadawayano datne ahwaderio.
And have the men ready at the appointed time and place.
Dano runungwe ahmdadawayano datne gatke dano jinue.
For engagement with the enemy of the great peace.
Ne ahmderio de ahmderi wadiha aurihuagen skana goa.
I have to write a name here.
Scan Skano goa. Ne skano goa, yeah. Okay.
What's that? Oriwage.
The engagement because of the great peace is the enemy, and then Aurihuage of the great peace. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just read it again really fast. We won't do any breaks, no talk right now. We'll just get right through it. Just to make sure everything aligns from Kanienkeha in English. Skanawadi shall be vested with a double title duty.
Skanagwadi Aurihuda Tegahna Neda. Okay.
With double authority.
Tegayana Rasera not Neda.
One half of his being shall hold the chieftainship title, peace chief.
Sadingwa Huaseriha Hatawa Royana Rudiskona Ragete.
And the other half shall hold the title of war chief.
Dano Noya Sadingwa Huaseriha Adirihunda Asare Goa.
In the event of war, he shall call upon the confederacy.
Ta Adirio Serage Awado Yasagonage Runujake Asare Goatsu Dekajoquanara.
And order them to prepare for war.
Dano Ahuadi Rory Amdatawiano Dane Amderio.
And have the men ready at the appointed time and place.
Dano Runungue Amdatawiano Dane Katke Dano Chinue.
For engagement with the enemy of the great peace.
Ne Ahuderio Dehumderihuaden Dehumderihuadiha Aurihuagan Escanagoa.
Zinue. What does Zinue mean? Okay, I didn't see any.
No, pretty okay.
Okay, so we'll just.
Yeah, it'd be nice if she heard this. Maybe she would tell me.
Mhm.
Should have this word here.
So then, how about if you read it once and then we'll read it with you?
Okay. Swadi Ahuarihunda.
Skanawati Ahuwarihunda.
Dekana Neda.
Dekana Neda.
Dekayanara Sarahna Neda.
Dekayenera Serana Neda.
Sat Sadingwe Huaseriha.
Sadeyungwe Honseria.
Ahatawa.
Ahatawa.
Royana.
Royane.
Rodina Ragete.
Radiskanaragete.
Nanonoya Sadingwe Huaseriha.
Danonoya Sadeyungwe Honseria.
Mahaderihunda Asare Goa.
Ahaderihunda Asaregoa. Hopefully.
Da Aderio Serago.
Da Aderio Serago.
Awado.
Awado.
Yasagonage.
Yasagonage.
Ronajake.
Ronujage.
Asare Goatsu.
Asaregoatsu.
Asaregoatsu.
Yeah. Tegajoquanara.
Tegajoquanara.
Dano.
Dano.
Ahuadirori.
Ahuwadirori.
Ahundadewayano Dane.
Ahundadewayandone.
Ahunderio.
Ahunderio.
Darununque.
Danoronunwe.
Ahundadewayano Dane.
Ahundadewayandone.
Gatke.
Gatke.
Dano Chinua.
Dano Chinue.
Neohunderio.
Neohunderio.
Dehunderihuadin. Dehunderihuadiha.
Dehunderiwadiha.
Aurihuage.
Auriwage.
Neskana Goa.
Neskanagoa.
You want to do those two little words that we added on the?
Oh, okay. And then he came to his senses. Wahotnikunrote.
Wahonigunrote.
And then when will you come to your senses? Gatke azanigunrote.
Gatke azanigunrote.
Okay, so that the second one, when we say men cannot say this to a life giver, Of course, you can say it, but it's something that if you were smart, you wouldn't say it to a life giver in a conversation.
No.
But a life giver can say that to another life giver. She can say that to a man. She could say that to a boy. But the only one that we would advise, we can't say that it's illegal, but we would advise that a man never say that to a woman under any conditions. Okay.
Well, I only ever heard my mother ever say it to like men, about men, like men who wouldn't stop drinking, or, you know, or beating up their wives, girlfriends, stuff.
So that first word, can you go back to that first word? Wahoni gunrote. That would actually be a good thing to be referred to as.
Yeah, sure, of course. It's like he finally stopped doing what he was doing. That was, see, it would be affecting the whole community, not just you. If you say it was your auntie, and of course, you know, the men would fight, and sometimes sometimes a guy won't even come to his senses with a good deed.
Yeah.
But maybe one day he'll just say, I gotta stop this, and then throw the bottle away. And then on his own, he comes to his senses, and then the women would say, "Atske, oh no, which is a good thing. Better late than never. Like.
All right. Wow, this was really good.
I mean, that was probably me. My mother was preparing for me because I drank a lot. You know.
Well, I think probably all of our mothers could have said that about any of us at any time.
That's the good thing about having a mother who just spoke the language is you heard everything, so that's why I can remember everything in it.
Did you ever smoke cigarettes?
No.
Why?
I was a lacrosse player.
Yeah, but
no, I seen my buddies. They would be puking and spitting up because they were on the team.
Did your mother ever
she didn't
smoke? Did your father?
She said he did when she met him.
So she probably stopped him.
Yeah, she made him quit drinking and smoke.
Did she ever say to you, don't smoke?
She told me, don't smoke.
Okay, you see then here we can see a pattern when the women have this power or authority and they exercise it upon their children. I didn't smoke either. I did. I smoked for 2 weeks when I was 12 years old. But it's because I fell victim to, it was a girl that I liked, and stood around in a circle, and she passed a cigarette to me, and I'm like, wow, yeah, she's talking to me, you know, like she handed me a cigarette. Hey, you want this? For me, it's like, wow, this was like the doorway that I was looking to be open. Anyways, for 2 weeks I smoked, and I attribute it to my mother's teachings. As to, I was able to, after 2 weeks at 12 years old, when she comes to hand it to me again, I said, nah, I'm okay. She was never my friend after that again. You know, the door was closed. It wasn't true. The door wasn't open. There was a false thing between us, which was a cigarette, which is a corruption. So there's corruptions that come in between us all the time. And if the men don't have, or young boys don't have the proper teaching, proper education when we're young from our mothers in the way that it's supposed to be, we'll fall victim to that. I can say right now, I know that I am grateful for my mother's teachings, because I would probably have been stuck in a life of slavery, of smoking cigarettes, the same way that my father and all my brothers were. But I listened to my mother.
But for me, that's when I never smoked, but when I was drinking, when she had enough of me, she would sit me down and she said, "You're ashamed." She says, "You're an embarrassment to your name." She said, "Guayagero," and I, like in your 20s, and what do you mean? She says, "Your grandfather never drank," and she says, he gave you that name, and you're always drunk, and I mean, not always, but just drinking too much. Working, and you went home and hit you like somebody punched you in the face.
It's good to have that kind of
tough love,
conscience.
Yeah.
It comes up. It gives you. Sometimes you don't. You're engaged in something, and you might, in your own thinking, do it, and then all of a sudden that thought or memory comes up of that person, and it actually prevents. I've been in that scenario where it actually prevented me, stopped me from doing something that I wanted to do, that I would have had a lot of fun
Well,
doing.
my best friend, who I was always with, he said, "Why you good? It's the first time I heard you listen to anybody." I said, "Well, it meant something this time, you know." I said, "If it was somebody else would have told me that, I probably would have punched them in the face. I mean, a man, not a woman, but when your mother tells you, it's like you're an embarrassment. That hurts. Always hurts a little more."
You sure as hell don't want to be an embarrassment to your mother or have your mother think of you as an embarrassment. That would be the ultimate kick in the ass. Okay, anyways, looks like you got something.
Yeah, well, it's like what you are saying. Of course, it's firing up other comments. So John says, is drinking medicine? And then Kate is answering, I believe alcohol is medicine, good for bad flu, like whiskey. I don't know what you guys
The
have
only
to say
thing
to that.
medicine's good for, I mean, I have alcohol in the house, but it's rubbing
Mhm.
alcohol for, sometimes my joints will get sore, so that's what I use it for. And it does come from the tree, and we come from the tree, but it wasn't supposed to be drank. It was supposed to be rubbed.
Just like cigarettes,
Yeah,
tobacco, you can say it's a medicine,
we took
but
it the wrong way.
the wrong way. It's a bad medicine.
Yeah.
Alcohol, yeah, you can. Some people take like a shot of brandy or something, and that stuff. I remember when we were ironworking in New York, everybody used to have blackberry brandy
Yeah.
because in the winter you're outside, you're freezing to death as an ironworker. Take one shot of blackberry brandy, boom, your whole body is warm, and you're able to work. But you wouldn't keep drinking.
No,
But some of us and a lot of people do. Anyways.
And on cigarettes, it says, Delfina says, it took my uncle's 5-year-old granddaughter to tell him to stop smoking, and then he stopped that very same day. And then John is saying, my grandfather would smoke and roll his window up on our drives, and he would teach me about my ancestors as we drove. And then Kate says, my gramps gave me a joint weed because of the flu, but my father was anti-dope because it was illegal.
Well, they made a lot of things illegal in this world. A lot of everything that's natural is illegal. Try to plant your own food. It's illegal. Try to go out and hunt. It's illegal. You would think, oh, I need food on the table. Look, there's a deer. Let me go catch that deer. Yeah, go and do it. But then somebody come along and give you a fine. It's illegal. Oh, you think, what do you do? But in advance, what if you go and buy a permit? Well, if you go and buy a permit to put food on your table, that's telling you that the system is identifying that it's illegal for you to do it unless you pay them to do it.
tax.
It's mafia. We got to close. Wow, it was a really good one, though, huh? Holy jeez. I don't know. My lighter is dead. Well, we got enough here. We don't have to have this thing burning like crazy. There you go. As close as we're getting.
Honigi aris the guy with the jokams. I don't want to go to Sinodi. What did he want the job done? Say do I yard kind of restaurant go to New Boguenu. Then we are in I also go to Scotland. Nietzsche, this what a squaronu. Then we are in it. I'm saying what the Kinistan Hoda. Then I go to Sinodi. I go get them. I guess. Hoda consum da io new hacem go the natsara suma. Quando qua suma. Ci det caro ya teni ko di gender gesture su ci to go out ci no suma te go nya tagana. You kia the run down is thing kini go rawes. Then we are in Kana wagunga ko di nagasarunis na jut ko ko ni kiyohage. Ay ko niya tanong sa ga do dawaste ay ti negli ti ko tanong ngwaheta. Tanong ko yare sa kinurada gwego na gunungwe tanong ay awas na agwego skona am zagunutunyo dano dos agwea de squires na tia agwero nogo sat to sat agwea dodas. Onegi are a joko aga to zakino horado are sam da jatinyo de dano oyoprane tomorrow.
Mhm.
So Sadio we start at the same time the Jidoadatka that's Yujitowatasut kaina rasra goa. Onegi are 20 ore zakadiri watqueni da tena sugeni gora. Isagine gwego sawani gora gonsono quadiam says what he was seruni. Yawan koa liquids, thank you. Merci Bonya we tut and we'll see you tomorrow at 4. It's
All
gonna
right. Wow. Yeah.
time, winter time.
Like we
So-
are going to say elbow pump.
Elbow.
Tomorrow at 4. We're gonna be here again. Same bad time, same bad time.
Elizabeth, you fall asleep? She's been sleeping.
No,
I'm still here.
actually, she was asking if your mom had to tell you that.